Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody, welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I will be your host for the next hour. Unlocking Your Truth, what we focus on is talking about anything in the realm of the intuitive or the mystical. Every week we have a different topic. I've chosen a topic today which is quite interesting. I belong to a Facebook group called Wisdompreneurs, and I guess I joined it a few months ago because a friend of mine recommended it to me, and I'm so busy I don't usually have much time to pay attention to these things, but for some reason this week I did pay attention to it, and somebody, a member of that group who's based in the UK, posted an article that was published in the Guardian newspaper in the UK. And it was a very interesting article. And actually this article exploded that whole group. Like everyone was like, expounding opinions on it and entering into, debate about it. And I thought, wouldn't that be a fabulous topic to do on the show? So the title of the article, Corey, was called, "Is Mindfulness Making Us Ill?" Who'd have thought to ask that question? As a meditation teacher, I certainly wouldn't have thought to ask that question. But, so the reporter starts out the article explaining a personal experience he had in I guess it was a mindfulness class of some kind, where he, even before they'd started the mindfulness exercises, I have to add, started feeling sort of tight in his chest and a little bit concerned about himself. And then when they actually started taking him through the mindfulness exercises, he went into a full-blown panic attack. And then he says, for days after that, he felt on edge and very jumpy. And then that caused him to start to investigate whether other people had had any experiences like that. And he found some people who had, and he also found some research about it. Now, I should probably just step in and explain what mindfulness is to the listeners out there who haven't heard of it before. So I guess I would describe it as a form of meditation that has its origins in Buddhism, really. So I guess it started out as a Buddhist practice. And the form of meditation is really, it's about sitting and practicing stillness. You do things like you focus on your breath. You focus on, the rise and fall of your chest, and you focus on just becoming the neutral observer of your thoughts. And, and just listening to the sounds in the room and anything that just draws you into the present moment. Now, some of these mindfulness retreats, after talking to some of these people on this Wisdompreneurs website, people go on these retreats for like 12 days at a time, 12 hours a day, just practicing that, which is quite extreme, really. Anyway, so that's what mindfulness is. Now, like I mentioned, this reporter found another couple of examples, three or four examples of people who had reactions like he had. And I'll just try and quickly talk about a few of them. And he changed the people's names, but he said there's let me see if I can find one here. Oh, a lady called Claire, who had a high-pressure job in a competitive industry, was sent by her corporation for a 3-day mindfulness retreat, and within a few hours was feeling disassociated from herself and and then went into a panic attack, and then started getting memories of her traumatic childhood resurging into her consciousness. She had a breakdown and spent 3 months in a psychiatric unit after doing this mindfulness retreat. And we laugh, but apparently these are true stories. And then, there was another 2 people, and one of them, I can't find it now, but I remember one of them ended up spiraling into 10 years of depression and psychiatric treatment, and another similar one to that. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it? And of course, well, and it's interesting for a few reasons, because one of the things I hadn't realized is how big mindfulness training was becoming in the UK, having lived out here in Canada for almost 20 years. But apparently there are a large number of companies out there who are now having mindfulness as part of their employee packages, including the National Health Service and the transportation in London. And he also mentions organizations like Google, Apple, Sony and IKEA, and equates it actually to really a financial thing, in that mental health issues are on the increase, and it's potentially a big cost for employers in having downtime from employees and dealing with that through their health and benefit packages. And so it's a lot cheaper for them to put on a mindfulness class than it is to deal with the mental health issue. So that's all quite fascinating. Now, as a meditation teacher myself, another point that they were making before I go on to that is that one of the people in this chat room was calling it McMindfulness, and really saying, it's the commoditization of mindfulness and meditation that is the issue here, because it's become a commercial opportunity and a financial opportunity. A lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon, and the people that are jumping on the bandwagon are not well-trained individuals. There's a lot of people out there teaching meditation and mindfulness that really shouldn't be, that really have not had extensive or intensive training to do so. And that means that when things arise with the people in their class, they really don't know how to deal with it. And for me, really, that tells the story. I mean, I don't think that this reporter was really presenting a balanced perspective. And I think that the people who he's picking out as examples, I'd like to know more about the teachers that they had in those classes. Because, you know what? Meditation is, yes, we can use it for stress reduction, but if you start meditating, it will put you into well, I call it spiritual growth, but it will put you into a growth period in all likelihood, and it will make you aware of the things that you've been ignoring. So all of those people, like the First Lady, she had issues of trauma from her childhood that she'd probably been in denial of and been burying and hadn't dealt with. And what happens when you meditate, because it is a time when you're turning within and you're focusing on yourself, well, you start to get to know yourself, and you start to get to explore all of those little dark corners that you haven't been paying attention to, perhaps for years. I mean, I get a lot of people in my, well, not a lot, but occasionally I've had people who'll come to a meditation class, and then they'll say, oh, well, I can't do it because my back hurts when I meditate. Well, their back was hurting the whole time. They were just able to ignore it, but the meditation has brought them into greater conscious awareness, in greater connection with their body, and that's why they're feeling the pain. And it's the same thing with these traumas that are arising with people. So someone teaching meditation has to really understand that happens to people, and that part of the process is teaching them how to deal with what comes up for them while they are meditating. So, which is what I do when I'm teaching people, because it's part of the process. It's part of the spiritual unfoldment process. You have to clean your house. So let me see what else this article... Oh, the other thing. I'm doing a bit of a rant here, aren't I, Corey? I'll let you get a word in soon. But the other thing, it was talking about a book called The Buddha Pill. And some of the language that they were using when they were referring to this research was, needing to warn people about the adverse events of meditation. And so they're starting to use the same language that they use in the pharmaceutical industry for taking drugs, warning adverse events. Maybe they want us in 10 years' time or sooner, when we advertise a meditation class, to pay for 2 pages of advertising to list all the adverse events like they do with the drugs. But I just thought that was that almost made me think maybe someone in the pharmaceutical industry had paid this chap to write the article, because he mentions adverse events, uses that kind of language a few times. And it's fascinating. The other thing, of course, is, and then they're touting, well, it needs to be researched by academia. We need to decide whether mindfulness and meditation is safe to be unleashed on people. And of course, I guess I've got 2 opinions on this, and I know that there is research out there already on mindfulness and how it's helped people. But it always worries me when academia tries to get a hold of something that's more in the spiritual realm. Yeah, and I feel like I have a right to say this because I have a PhD in science myself. And I have done all of this extensive personal growth for years and years, in meditation and so on. And really, meditation and spiritual unfoldment it's a personal experience, and it's based on that direct personal experience. And a lot of the effects or results of meditation, I don't believe, can be measured by science. Especially if we were to now veer into the realm of opening your intuitive abilities, which is actually in this article, touted as being an adverse event if you start hearing voices. Well, it could be, but it could just be that your intuition, your clairaudience is starting to open up, and hence why you need to have a very experienced teacher to work with you. There are plenty of people out there, who've maybe done a class themselves and decide that they can teach it, but they really don't have the depth of experience to deal with it. So there's my rant, Corey. Do you have anything after listening to that? Because I know you haven't read the article, so you're just hearing my thing on it. But what do you think?
Well, first of all, coming from an industry of spending many years in the personal development industry, it's not the exactly same thing, but it's very close. You're teaching people how to go inside and look at themselves. It's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, is it the meditation, the mindfulness, that's the problem or the issue, or is it the person coming into the course and like this lady with the traumas? She had these traumas, so it's not the mindfulness that's the cause. I mean, these traumas are not just showing up when she started the mindfulness course. I mean, these were obviously, I won't say obviously, but I'm sure, I have a certainty that they were causing other effects in her life as well. Yeah. And when she took the course, it just manifested in a different manner.
Well, and also it's an excuse to find something to blame, isn't it? in a way. That's the other thing is, if you're going to embark on this, you need to be prepared to take personal responsibility for yourself. And, maybe those sound like harsh words, but we're all responsible for ourselves, even if we've had a childhood trauma. The meditation is just a tool to assist you actually to release that trauma, and if you've got a teacher that's not helping you understand that, then you've unfortunately not got a good teacher.
I've been to long-term meditations as well, if you want to call it mindfulness, but meditations where people in the room were having, women in the room were having instantaneous orgasms.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, I know.
Meditation is a very powerful tool, and when used for good, but it is a powerful tool. People understand it,
but it is a tool.
Yeah, it is a tool, and it's a tool to awaken, to go inside, to touch that little piece of you that's God. And it's really powerful, and it can cause powerful.
Doesn't cause it.
No. But powerful things can happen from the practice. So you have to be ready and work with somebody, like you say, that knows whereof they speak. It's like in the personal development industry, we'd have 2,000 or 3,000 people in a room, and there are people that are going yay, and there are people that are in tears and in massive depression. Well, they have to be able to talk to somebody.
That's why you need to create a safe place. If you're going to teach meditation, you have to create a safe container for the individuals that are taking it. And as a teacher, you have to be experienced enough to deal with the number of people that are there and the different circumstances that can arise. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. And we've been talking about mindfulness, and is mindfulness making us all ill? And we had a little bit of a not really a debate, because I think we agreed with each other, didn't we, Corey, on that one before the break. So if you were listening to that, you're welcome to phone up and talk to us about it. But in the meantime, like I said, there is a lady I promised I'd answer her question, and so maybe we'll do that next.
Okay. She wrote a book.
she wrote a long question.
And her name is the Queen of Hearts. And her question's about the Jack of Hearts. Now, she says, I've been seeing Jack of Hearts for about 3 years. I would like to have more with him. Jack of Hearts is a loner, which doesn't bother me. I don't like anyone smothering me either. Jack of Hearts knows I want more, and also knows that I don't expect a ring. He also knows I want him because he's a loner. Okay. Jack of Hearts wants certain things from me, which I'm considering and won't mind doing. My question is, what is the key to get Jack of Hearts to give in? He can do what he wants. The only thing I would ask is that he doesn't sleep with anyone else. I wouldn't mind living together and sharing the bills. What is the key? I know that there are other people who share a home, etc., and are still free. Just need the key to get him there, and would like to know how long it will take. I feel he's very scared, and because of being a man, he's stalling. Both of us do what each of us wants to do, and still be there for one another. Jack of Hearts has a mother figure in his life, and I was wondering if she has anything to do with him stalling. She is the controlling, demanding type. And this also gives his birthdays, but I'm not going to give you those.
We don't need that. Thank you very much, Corey. Okay, so I'm going to do what I normally do on the show, which is just to check in with the Queen of Hearts and the Jack of Hearts and see what's going on. And if you're listening for the first time, just bear with me. I just go into a very light trance, which will enable me to see this lady's energy. And what we'll do is we'll just do a quick reading of her, and then we'll look at the energy of the Jack of Hearts and give some information about what is going on. Looks like I have a few things to say here, and interestingly enough, I think we're actually going to see some past life stuff come up, or one particular past life, so I'll just make a note of that and I'll get to that in a bit. So I'm just taking a look, first of all, Queen of Hearts, at you and where you're at in your life and what's going on with you. Give me a moment, because, well, I feel like I want to give you a little bit of a healing, actually, first of all. And the reason I want to give you a little healing is when I first tuned into your energy, it was looking like you were feeling, well, you were not in your power, feeling a bit powerless. So let's give you a little bit of a healing, and then we can look at the real you instead of the powerless you. And so let's take a look. Well, I'm seeing that actually you're very bright, and you're in a growth cycle at the moment, actually, which the main color vibration that I'm seeing associated with you, the main growth cycle that you're in, is like a very passionate orange. And so what I'm picking up on is passion, but that passion is confused or undefined. Let's call it undefined. Undefined and unrefined. And that's because you're on this growth cycle where you're exploring that aspect of yourself, and you're only part way through. And so you've lit up and fired up all of this passion, and then it kind of looks like, in a way, in a state of overwhelm with it, and bear with me a moment. Somebody else is on the phone, so it just distracted me for a minute. I'm really wanting a channel for that passion, and to feel safe in the channel for that passion. And hence the question of the Jack of Hearts comes up, because what you're wanting is for that person and that relationship to provide you with a safe channel for the passion, and a way of expressing the passion, and in a safe container. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like a safe container for you. So, and I think we could go on and talk a little bit more about that passion growth period, but I'm just going to switch and take a look at the Jack of Hearts now. And I'm definitely seeing the connection between the two of you. I'm also seeing that, well, let's call it, might call it not wanting to commit on the part of the Jack, but it's not exactly that. It's almost that it doesn't even occur to him to do that. That he does have a strong connection with you, a strong desire to be with you, that he enjoys being with you. But at the same time, if there were a set of rules around that, he'd feel trapped and like he wanted to escape. So it looks like he enjoys his freedom. And I think you mentioned something about a mother figure, and I'm seeing that is part of it, actually. And I don't know whether mother figure or the real mother that he had, but it definitely looks like women who seek to control him in some way and give him a set of rules to operate within is a challenge for him and an area of growth for him. Okay, and something that he's frightened of. So you hit the nail on the head there. Now, so you're talking about wanting to live with this person and also wanting to be in an exclusive relationship with this person. And I'm just going to take a look. I'm going to take a look at... well, you know, I'm seeing that might bring up some resistance and some pain in your partner here. And so if you do tackle that with them, you might just want to be very, very careful about how you express yourself. And, you know, emphasizing the freedom aspect of it is... Well, let me just take a look about whether he wants to be in an exclusive relationship, because you're saying you didn't want him to be with other women. So let's take a look. Well, I would say the Jack of Hearts definitely likes the idea that he has complete freedom. And the thought of an exclusive relationship brings up that those limits that we were talking about. So what's the key to get... Well, you say, what's the key to get him there, meaning get him to where you want him to be? And I would say, well, this isn't a manipulation. This is about you knowing what you want and communicating what you want to this person. But if this person is not in agreement with that, then, you know, it's down to what I'm always saying to people, which is, you know, focus on what you want and on asking the universe what you want, and don't attach it to a particular person. But if you want an exclusive relationship with, you know, room to be yourself and do a lot of things on your own, then ask for that. You know, you can also communicate as spirit with the Jack of Hearts before you talk to him in physical reality, and really sort of, it's just like, you know, when you pray or when you meditate, just talk to him inside your head. That conversation will reach him whether he's conscious of it or not. So those are a few things that I can suggest that you do. But really, I think, Queen of Hearts, I would just lay your cards on the table with the Jack of Hearts, and, you know, and let them fall where they may. But I'm seeing that it looks like you are in different places with respect to this. He definitely enjoys being with you, has fun, enjoys the relationship, but it does look like starting to put some rules around it and some limits around it would feel like a restraint to him. Okay, so I am going to leave that there, and we have another caller waiting on the line, so we're going to put that caller through, and I'm just going to wave at Corey and say that he can put the caller through, and hopefully we'll get them to appear on air. We've got a new phone system, and you never can tell. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello, caller. How are you?
I'm Tammy.
Hi, Sammy. Well, it's nice to talk to you. Your voice is a little bit crackly. I'm just going to see if I can do anything about that.
Okay.
Okay, so what was your question?
I had a question. I have a photo in my memory from my past that I thought was from the future, and so I didn't take it, and it was in my apartment, and it wasn't anything I took. And I'm just wondering what you think about objects or photos somehow transferring to present time.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that just so that I can check that, just because your voice was a little bit hard to understand. So you have a photograph in your apartment that you didn't take, but it's just appeared in your apartment, and you think it's from the future, that it's come back into the past?
It's come through. It came through to my present time. I lost the photo, but I wasn't. I keep getting reminded of it now. And the other part to this is I have a key in my past that also showed up, and I lost that. But presently, the key has returned to me. So I'm just wondering if the photo and the key are connected, and what do I do with that now?
Okay, well, I'll take a look at it for you. I'm going to just repeat again, though, just to double check. So this was a photo you took in the past that you lost, and then it reappeared in your present?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
Oh, yes. Well, we've got this new phone system. It's not the best.
Okay.
But so I'm just trying to get the facts on the photograph. So I know the key came from the past and appeared in your present.
Right.
The photograph, was that from the past and appeared in your present? Or was that... Because you mentioned...
No, it just appeared. It just appeared one day in my apartment.
Right.
I'd never seen it, and it was on my floor. And it was a photo of my future. My intuition said it was a photo of my future. And I lost it. This was a few years ago. I don't have it presently.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they're connected, if the key and the photo are connected.
Yeah, I'll take a look. What was on the photo?
I'm sorry?
What was on the photograph?
Oh, it was a hotel room with backpacks and an old black and white TV. It looked like the backpacks were all brand new and packed, and there was a bed, and it was taken from the corner of the room facing the front door.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to answer your question. If you can't hear my response, what I suggest is go and listen to the podcast afterwards. So civl.ca has a place where you can listen to the podcasts, and
Okay.
and so you'll be able to listen to it again. You can even download it and take a copy. All right, Sammy. So I'm going to take a look at this. Before I go into trance and take a look at your specific situation, though, I'll just give a little bit of esoteric information, which is, of course, you know, time is an illusion. Time is an illusion. We have the perception of time, but really, on a soul level, every moment of our lives is being created, and I'll use the word simultaneously, but which isn't quite the right word, but simultaneously, and so it's us and our experience and different points of experience that we're having. And so really there is no space and there is no time. And from that perspective, it's completely possible from one to bleed over into the other. So, but anyway, let me take a look at your specific situation and give you some information. So I'm just going to take a minute to tune into Sammy, and I'm just doing that now, Sammy. So bear with me while I do that. Well, the first thing that I want to say is I want to talk a little bit about you and your intuitive abilities. And it looks to me like there's an aspect of your intuitive abilities that is precognitive. So not everybody is precognitive, but I'm seeing that you are. And so part of what was at play was your precognition. How long did the photograph stay with you, by the way, before it disappeared again?
Well, I had some trouble and had to leave that place, and I left it behind. So I didn't take it with me. I just kept it with me for a short time, and then moved out to BC, and I lost it.
Okay. So, I mean, all that I'm seeing is when I look at this situation, that are you familiar with the chakras?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what chakras are?
Chakras?
Yeah. Okay, so when I look at this happening, it looks like your sixth and seventh chakra are extremely active, and it's a combination of those two energy centers that work together to create precognitive experiences.
Okay.
And so I would say, you were right in that you were looking at a picture of a potential future. And then if I look at the photograph and how did it arrive there, I would also say, because you put it there. Because ultimately you create your own reality. There is nothing in your reality that is not created by you. And so, maybe one day when we're all masters, we'll be able to make things appear and disappear around us all the time. But, so I'm seeing that you basically put it in your reality so that you could see it, and so that it would be an experience that would really stand out to you. Now, what significance does that hotel room and that backpack have?
I'm sorry?
Well, I was just asking the question what significance the hotel room and backpack had to you. And one thing I noticed is that you said you moved quite soon after that, which is kind of interesting.
Right. Well, it also reminded me of my backpack trip to India.
Mm.
And so the room looked like an Indian hotel room. And that's why I was like, I know I didn't take this picture. And this picture just appeared in my apartment one day, and I felt extremely drawn to it, and I couldn't explain its occurrence. Nobody had been in my place, and it was just in my bedroom on the floor out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think that trip to India as well was a significant trip for you, and that reminds me, I forgot to look at that the past life that came up for that last lady. But what I was going to say is, I mean, I don't know what kind of trip that trip to India was, but it looks like that's a significant place for you in terms of on a spiritual level, and perhaps some past lives where, you've been strongly on a spiritual path, and you reactivated some of your information by visiting India. Now, I'll take a quick look at the key, and then see what we have to say about the key. Well, I think one of the things that you're really wanting to demonstrate to yourself is you're showing yourself little miracles in a way to say, you know what? Anything is possible.
Okay.
And you know what? You create your own reality. If you can make a key appear from the past that doesn't exist in your present, make it appear in your present. If you can make a photograph appear from your future that doesn't exist in your present, what else could you do? It's sort of there as an encouragement and a validation that you are powerful and you create your own reality. And if this is happening when you're not focusing your attention on something, what could happen when you are focusing your attention on something?
Okay.
So it's kind of like another aspect of yourself is teaching the self that's I'm talking to about its potential, about your potential. So let me see. I'll see if I can see anything else about that key. No, I'm just seeing it really be a sort of a spiritual awakening and activation. And it's just meant to teach you that you're a powerful creator of your own reality, and just validate that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Sammy.
So thank you so much for taking my call, and have a great night.
You're really
Your
welcome.
show's great. I'm so glad I tuned in tonight.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, tune in again.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, folks, I'm going to go to a very short break, and I might, after the break, quickly check in for the Queen of Hearts, because I remember I'd said a past life had came up and I didn't go back to it. Bear with me, and I'll speak to you in a few moments. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. We only have about 10 minutes left, and I just want to quickly throw in for the Queen of Hearts. I took a quick look while we were on the break at the past life that I forgot to go into for you, and what I was seeing was a past life where you're actually both in male bodies, and the Jack of Hearts got himself incarcerated. It looks like a medieval past life, and it's one of those, gosh, I don't know if you ever watched the Game of Thrones. It reminds me of, they had somebody in a little outside jail where you could reach in through the bars, and it was on the back of a horse-drawn carriage. Anyway, it's something like that. And, I'm seeing he got himself captured and locked away in something like that and felt very trapped. And I'm seeing that you actually were... You were actually sneaking food to him through the bars. And, your intention was to help him, but he was in a very dark place, full of angst and pain. And, he saw it as... just that feeling of being trapped was just awful to him. And anyone that, because you were sort of having some kind of relationship with him while he was trapped, in some ways it looks like he resented the freedom that you had, and it was difficult for him to be grateful for the kindness you were giving him anyway. So that was the past life, and that might explain, why he's got such issues being placed under limits of any kind. Okay, so I'll leave that there. Corey, I think we've got time for one more question before the end of the show.
Okay, I have a question from Maximilian.
Oh, what a good name. Yeah. It's another made-up name, folks.
Of course. Hey, you're working overtime on the making up names, right?
We'll call him Max.
Okay, Max. What blocks do I need to clear from my past lives that are hindering my progress in this lifetime?
Okay, probably got time to look at one life for you, Max. And I'll do that now. Okay. Well, there is a past life that's coming up, and I'll just take a moment to see what it is about. Well, it's curious. I'm seeing what looks like a rolling pin going backwards and forwards, except it's not a rolling pin. And it reminds me of some kind of, the old-fashioned way that they used to print on fabric. It looks like some kind of rolling device that results in a print being made on fabric. So some kind of fabric making. And I'm seeing two people, and one is a child and one is an adult. And the adult is teaching the child. And the working conditions are not the most pleasant. Maybe we'd describe this as a sweatshop and child labor. And the child is under pressure to perform, regardless of if they get calluses on their hand or it's painful or they're tired or whatever. It's just like keep on going and keep producing this cloth. And I'm seeing that you were the child. And it looks to me like the person who was teaching you is somebody very close to you in the current life. So there's a little bit of a relationship dynamic going on here between these two souls presently and in the past life. And I'll just take a little bit more of a look at this and how that is limiting you in the current life. Well, it just looks like, in that life, you suffered some cruelty, some trauma, some abuse. And it looks like you've carried forward that a resonance from that into the present lifetime. So in your interaction with this person, who I would say is a significant other in the current lifetime, that's being played out. And because it was an adult-child relationship in that past life, and that's bleeding through or relevant to the current life, I'm seeing that there's a dominant sort of submissive energy being played out in the present time relationship, where this person feels that they're the boss, and you're there to do what they say. And so I'm seeing that the challenge for you, in that life, in that scenario, I'm seeing you were a child and there wasn't much that you could do about it. But in the current life, you're an adult. And so I'm seeing that the challenge for you to overcome, the thing that you're wanting to transcend, is allowing others to control you and manipulate you. So it's sort of like validating yourself and your power. It's being able to speak up for yourself and stand up for what you want, and not letting yourself be pushed around by other people is what I'm seeing. All right, so look at that. I did that in record time, Corey, because we've got 3 minutes left now.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Well, you know what? I would love if the people who are listening today, I'd love you to send in more questions or phone us up next week. The email address is info@drlesleyphillips.com, and it's EY for Lesley and 2 L's in Phillips. Send us topics, whether it's an article that you've read somewhere, something interesting, discussion that you've had, or something that you've been curious about. Like the lady who phoned us up with the question about the photograph and the key appearing from other periods of time. That would even make a fantastic discussion on its own. So do email in topics that you'd like us to cover. We're happy to talk about anything, really.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.